Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is 11 o'clock, and I will call the November work session to order. Madam Clerk, if you would kindly call the roll.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Hunter? Mr. Benson?
Here.
Mr. Parrott?
Here.
Mr. Dwyer?
Here.
Mr. Reed?
Here.
And Ms. Ames? Here.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Davis, are you introducing new employees?
I am going to introduce, yes and no. I'm going to get Shelley to come up and fully introduce. We have a new employee at the golf course, and his name is Todd Adams, and Shelley's going to give you a little bit about Todd, if you don't mind.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
I have a new employee, Todd Adams. He's a local boy from Seward County. I feel very fortunate to have him. He brings a lot of experience to the golf course. He came to us from the Manor. A lot of experience in lawn care as well as grass. So I feel very fortunate to have him. Look forward to working with him.
Welcome, Todd. Glad you're part of the team.
I thought it'd be helpful to
Thanks,
put
Shelley.
faces with names, but you really can't see many of their faces, so it might not work out as well as I was hoping it would. We have 3 new employees in Public Works. If you remember, we had an opening in the finance department as an account clerk, and so Deanna applied internally for that, Deanna Nash, and also we had other applicants, but Deanna ended up receiving the account clerk's position, and so her position as administrative assistant became open in Public Works, and then we had 2 openings in labor positions. So I'm going to get Robin to introduce Tracy Hammonds, Henry, and Jay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank y'all for the hire. Tracy comes to us with a lot of experience. I had 38 applications for this position, so it's a lot of interest. And so she was chosen out of 38, which is I think is very good because we had a lot of good applicants. And Tracy has a lot of experience. She's doing really well. Deanna was there for 32 years, and there was a lot to take over because that position is very important to me because being friendly and courteous to the public when they call, I think it's a big part of what we try to do in Public Works. She handles that very well. So Tracy's doing a real good job. Glad to have her on board. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Next is Jay Haskins. Jay graduated about a year and a half ago from Prince Edward, and he worked 2 summers for us over the years, and was happy to come back to town when we had to open it. And he's in the sanitation, and he already knew a little bit about it and knew some of the people, and he's doing a real good job, and we're really glad to have him aboard too.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
And last is Henry Nicholson. He's a recent grad. He graduated in May, so he's out here really in full-time, first-time full-time job. He's been working at a pulpwood a little bit and helping his dad with first-time job. So he's doing a real good job too. He's young, learning, got a lot to do. Because we got plenty for him to do, so we're glad to have him on board and doing a real good job too. And we really need these employees, and thank y'all for doing them, but I'd like to also mention we got 2 little situations in our department. Jerry Hatfield's got prostate cancer. He's not doing too good, so he's been out in there. He's lost 80 pounds over the last 6 months, so y'all pray us for him, please. And I hope y'all heard yesterday one of our employees, Rick, Francisco's wife was in a terrible accident, so praise God to him and his wife, and so that was pretty serious too, accident yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Any other new points?
That's all. Mr. Atkins did beat me to the punch. I was going to give you that information later on, but I appreciate it, Robin, that we do have 2 employees going through some rough times, and so we could just keep them in your prayers and your thoughts, and hopefully the best results will come.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is discussion of the contract for the clerk. I think, actually, all we need to do is approve it unless somebody has any questions. Are there any questions about the contract? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the contract. Second.
Motion and second. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Benson,
Yes.
Mr. Parrott,
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
and Ms. Haynes.
Yes.
And the contract is actually here, and Mr. Wood has already signed it, and I just signed it, and now it's official, and I see Mr. Wood is in the audience, so congratulations and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
We look forward to having you. I think that there's a list about a mile long waiting for you, so. Welcome.
Thank you.
Discussion of audio-visual system for the council chambers, Mr. Davis.
Yes, I had given you at your last meeting some information on different quotes prior, and then I got some feedback from council members at that meeting. Actually, I invited the mayor and Mr. Hunter, who Mr. Hunter is on the CARES committee, and they actually heard from the actual representative with Lee Hartman. So what you have before you is, I believe it's in Dropbox, is a new estimate or quote of what that would be with microphones that you can cut on and off. You would actually have, instead of trying to get a big enough screen for you all to see, you would actually have a screen in front of you in that cutout hole.
That's actually in the beginning, way back in the day, why these holes are here, for each of us to have our own screens and everything right in front of us. The project was never, I guess Mr. Reed, you're the only one that was around with me back then, but that's what the holes were originally for, is to have screens and everything right here in front of us. And that's what the technician recommended, that would be the easiest for everybody to see and deal with it. It would be nice to have something right here to look at.
Yeah.
And the other is the different components of the camera system, so that it can switch back and forth and have a different feed than the other ones that were put. I think that's the basics of the changes. You correct me if I'm wrong.
And there was, Brian, the ability to turn the mics on and off.
Yeah, that's what.
And so now it depends on what the CARES Act committee is willing to do, right, Mr. Davis?
It is. Now, I will say there's an optional component in here that's not in the final cost. If you look on, I guess, on page 5, there's an optional one that says where you slide in a card and it says who's actually the person, where you're sitting and things like that. But that's an option, but I don't think that was the one that.
That's one that we felt like was not really needed at this point, is for cards. And actually, you could do voting with that as well. Once you slide in your card, that could put some sort of screen up, and you would, rather than the clerk calling the roll, sort of like in Richmond and Washington, you would just vote, punching the button. I don't think we're not that far yet. I don't think we're there yet.
So the CARES committee meets today, this evening, so I need to get that to them after this meeting, if everyone's okay with this new quote. All right, I will do that.
Do you know if Mr. Hunters will be at the meeting tonight?
I do not know that. I can find out.
Update on the camera on High Street.
As you know, we have camera systems at every entry and exit point of the town, and the police chief had asked for an additional one going out of town and in town in that direction on High Street. And we had talked about using in the area of an existing sanitary sewer and trail easement that we have off of High Street in that area would be the best solution potentially in talking with Connect. However, that easement is only for those purposes, so we're gonna have to go back through that process. So just giving you an update on that project, it hasn't died, it's still alive. We've just gotta work with Gary and Connect on how we get that project moving in a manner that we have the correct easements for. And the money is already in the budget this year for that.
Probation and parole.
The other update on that one is, it's been a while since we talked about probation and parole several years ago, and then it kind of died off. One conversation was we were going to expand the building. We had a designer and everything do that. They opted not because of the cost of what it would be for their new monthly payment. Then they came to us seeking whether they wanted to purchase the building or not. And then that kind of died off. I didn't hear anything for a while. And now the transaction manager, Jeannie Minyard from Department of General Services, has been back in contact recently with me about that. And they are interested again, not in this upcoming General Assembly session, but it would be for funding that would start in July of planning for the future General Assembly session of the next year. They're interested in 1.25 to 1.5 acres with the building. And so our next steps will be, I'll work with Will to get that laid out of a property that we could subdivide out of the main full property. And then we'd get an appraisal done of it so that we can then negotiate any type of sale with that. The only other item I have is, and Mr. Reed was gracious enough to remind me of this, back in August, September, we was brought up at a meeting about crosswalk lights at on Griffin Boulevard, right between Moton. You have it in front of you at the intersection. Of Moton and Borough Street. And so I had Bill Price, we talked about similar crosswalk lights as we have in Midtown Square going across Main Street, that they can either push or it's infrared when they walk past it, it lights and it has the blinking lights. To do that would be about $16,000. And so we go almost diagonally, as you can see on the drawing, is what we would propose and where it would be. We do have money that we carried over last year from the state in Fund 15 Street Maintenance that can be used for this type of project, which we carried over $91,000 into this year from last year that wasn't used. And then we get a little over $700,000 from VDOT quarterly, if you remember, to maintain our streets, sidewalks, and equipment and those types of things. So we could do this. I just need council to authorize me to move forward if that is what you all desire.
Would we do the installation work?
I mean, as far as I know, we've done the installation work prior, so I would say yes, but I can't definitively say yes to you right now. But yes, I would
Typically, we
propose,
do that.
I would propose that.
My question is about the path, because I know when I park over here and others, when coming and going, you take the most direct route right across, and so will people really walk up and down?
Well,
You've seen the same thing, I know.
I've seen it sometime over there too, but I think, I mean, once you place it like that, is the visitation, numbers will go up because of the rating of the museum. So they have a lot of visitors coming in, they pop over in the Verizon parking lot.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of traffic going across and coming back. So that's,
I had the same, I had the same thought as you, Mayor, about, but from a VDOT standard, you're supposed to have it at an, you try to put it at an intersection, because you have handicap, accessibility there, and you're not in different curve cuts than you
Yeah,
would in the
I
middle of the
totally
road.
understand. I just think people are gonna go the
Right.
most direct route.
they're gonna, yeah, some might do it and some might come to, lately they've been coming to that point and going across.
Well, I think your handicap will absolutely go to the corner
Right.
because it benefits them, but typical people who park in that parking lot are gonna walk straight across the street. I mean, we all do it. I mean,
Yeah, but I think once they put a light in the bay, you got the crossing there, I think they're
Yeah.
pretty okay with that.
And the other thing is if you put it up and they go straight across and get hit, then
Yeah, that's, you know, but I think
they weren't
what
following.
they need to know is the museum will let you to know that the crossing is there, you know, once they
Right.
have an activity going on.
So do you need excuse me, do you need a motion?
I just need to know council's okay with however y'all wanna do it, I just need to know you're supportive of me doing that.
I'll make a motion that we fund the crosswalk at the back.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Know what you need?
That's all I need.
All right, what else?
I don't have anything else for today.
Come on, I think we talked about this in finance, but do you want to update council just a little bit on VRS?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I have to update is, that the third-party actuary, that VRS has to do the full study, has completed their work. It is back in the hands of those that handle, the situation at Virginia Retirement System. What they do is they review the actuary's work, and then they will provide it to the locality after they review. He told me a few weeks, which is close to now, but it would be in November, so we would have it.
Madam Clerk, do you have copies of those letters that I did?
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. You can just add them to the Dropbox, and I received a number of complaints, as well as Facebook blew up about one of the local fast food establishments in the Forest Service. So I wrote a letter to the CEO of the company, and he responded very quickly within, a couple of days, and said they were aware of some of the issues, and they were working on it, and he deeply appreciated us reaching out. And, so hopefully it will help. But customer service seems to be an issue in a lot of places. If you just add the letters to the Dropbox, they can see
I will.
that correspondence. Okay, around the table.
One other thing that I wanted to share, that I'll share with the whole group is, from an employee engagement standpoint, I'd like to look at how we do some things a little bit differently. Like when someone retires, Ernie Hurt retired recently with 44 years of service. And there hasn't really been in the past a standard of how we recognize someone over a certain amount of years. So I plan on, if you've been with the town 35 years and good service, that we would do something individual for that person in their department where they work. So like a lunch, and then they would get some type of plaque or something like that showing their service time. And then beyond that, looking at, this is not definitive, but looking at recognizing employees on 5-year increments of service to the town every 5 years, and having some type of method, whether it is a luncheon or whether it is a monetary or whether it is some type of gift, but something of that nature, looking at what it could be for each 5-year increment, in recognizing their service. And that's not uncommon, in, most localities to do that.
For a retirement, do they get something besides that plaque? Jackie, we gave the watches, what, 25 years?
So I know everybody looks forward to that, so I'm not making that change. We'll keep that in place, so if you get 25 years of service, you get your watch. Speaking of that, we have those in for this year, and we plan on doing it at the December meeting like we did last year, and bringing those individuals to a council meeting and getting recognized to receive their watch.
But for 44 years, we're just giving them a plaque, we're not getting a watch or anything.
We got a watch at 25 years.
That watch is worn out now.
Yeah, we're looking at some type of,
I mean, I think
That's-
that's, you ought to get something besides a plaque.
I mean, the goal is to be consistent though, because it hasn't always been consistent of what you get when you retire.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else?
That's it.
We'll go on
Will you share with them our conversation as far as the flag is concerned?
All of the holders are on the poles. They're all in, all 60. And yes, they should be up by Monday. The goal was hopefully this Friday, but we'll see. But it'll be up next week. And we have been delayed today because we had a track fit box that was hit at East Third and Millwood. But before that, our 26-foot Christmas tree has been delivered and was sitting in midair when I left this morning, and then the box was hit. So I don't know if it is upright in the plaza yet or not, but it is here, offloaded of a tractor trailer truck. It's about 1,500-pound tree, and hopefully it'll be up right today.
And set. Anything else?
No, thank you. Thank you, Scott.
Mr. Reed?
I just want to see, what kind of time frame that we might have on this crosswalk?
I can't answer that right now, Mr. Reed. I can get with them and see when we can get all the material in and when the installation will be done, but I can't answer that right now.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Cole? Nothing here? Ms. Ames?
Nothing here.
Mr. White? Okay. Mr. Deputy Police Chief? Anything from,
The only thing I will add to Mr. Davis' comments about the accident, that traffic box was destroyed at that intersection. So the traffic light at Millwood and East Third will not be operational for at least several days, more than likely. So the town shop has already erected stop signs on Millwood and Persimmon Tree. And we've also got our message boards out that we recently got with the CARES money, notifying drivers on both those roads that the light is out, they will have to stop. So until Public Works can get all the wires back in place and order some more parts, that intersection is going to be tricky for several days.
any, thing to report on Halloween? I assume everything went well.
Halloween was surprisingly uneventful.
That's good. That is good. That's great. Anybody have anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.